Are you ready for the unexpected? Here we go. Number 1, they built temporary shelters that could withstand anything. A storm rolls in, wind howls like a freight train, and rain is coming down sideways. Most of us would run to the nearest hardware store or call Uber for a hotel. Ancient humans. They built shelters in an hour that could survive that storm and keep them dry and warm. Lightweight frameworks of branches covered in animal hides or layers of leaves. In freezing regions, they dug shallow pits, lined them with stones, and topped them with insulating materials like moss fur or even snow. These homes weren't just okay. They were smartly designed to trap heat, shed water, and survive earthquakes. Some shelters could be disassembled and moved in minutes when herds migrated. And when they were done using them, they left almost no trace behind. That's the ultimate zero-waste engineering. These structures were designed with an understanding of materials, angles, and physics. They would impress even an architect today. Number 2, they turned nature into a weapon. Predators, rival tribes, and even giant herbivores were real threats. So ancient humans got creative. They learned to turn trees into traps, rocks into projectiles, and fire into a psychological weapon. Smoke could drive animals away or obscure the movements of hunters. Pits lined with spikes could stop anything from lions to mammoths. Some tribes even used rivers or narrow passes as natural choke points to ambush enemies or prey. They didn't just defend themselves, they used their environment like a natural army. Today, most of us panic when a squirrel chews through our garden. Back then, the entire forest was a toolkit ready for offense and defense. This shows a level of strategic thinking we rarely associate with primitive people. Number 3, they mastered ice and snow survival. Surviving in sub-zero temperatures sounds impossible if you're used to heating vents and down jackets, but ancient humans had strategies that would make even modern survivalists jealous. In the Arctic, they used animal skins layered to trap air and heat. They built igloos that were surprisingly warm inside, and used snow to store food, keeping it from spoiling for weeks. They also knew how to read ice crack snowdrifts and wind patterns to avoid avalanches. They created snow shelters with vents to circulate air and prevent suffocation. While we struggled to survive a cold snap without Netflix and hot cocoa, they thrived in ice deserts hunting seals, caribou, or fish with tools we would barely recognize. Their clothing, shelters, and knowledge of ice conditions formed an intricate survival system, almost like a weather app encoded in human memory. Number 4, they could make potent ferments and poisons. Fermentation isn't just about booze. Ancient humans fermented fruits, grains, and milk to preserve calories and boost nutrition. They even used fermentation to create medicine. On the darker side, they also made poisons from plants, berries, or insects, and knew exactly how much to use so it would incapacitate an enemy without harming themselves. Some tribes even used fermented fish or honey to lure predators into traps. Back then, fermentation was a survival tactic, a dietary supplement, and sometimes a weapon all rolled into one. It shows a deep understanding of biology, chemistry that would make a modern biologist nod in respect. Number 5, they predicted animal behavior like psychics. Ever try to predict where deer, rabbits, or fish will appear? It's tough with Google Maps, binoculars, and trail cams. Ancient humans didn't need apps. They watched footprints, droppings, broken branches, and subtle changes in the wind. Birds' flight patterns indicated where prey or predators were. They knew the migration routes of animals and their breeding seasons. Hunting wasn't luck. It was data analysis using the natural world, and it worked consistently. Tribes sometimes tracked animals for weeks, predicting where they would be based on weather, vegetation, and lunar cycles. We scroll Instagram looking for animal videos. They read the forest like a spreadsheet. That mental calculation combined with patience and observation is a skill most of us would fail at in a single day. Number 6, they harvested water from thin air. Water is survival 101, but ancient humans took it to an art form. In deserts, they collected condensation from leaves, dug pits to tap underground aquifers, or used porous stones to store dew overnight. They could extract clean water from mud, snow, or even cactus pulp. They observed seasonal changes, animal behavior, and vegetation to locate hidden water sources. While we cry when our water filter clogs, they turned the driest environment into a reliable source of life-giving water. Their understanding of evaporation, condensation, and natural reservoirs was practical science. It was often more advanced than some modern survival guides. Number 7. They navigated underground and through forests without maps. Modern navigation relies on GPS compasses or apps. Ancient humans had none of that. They memorized landmarks, celestial positions, river currents, and even moss growth to find their way. In dense forests or labyrinthine caves, they could travel miles without getting lost. Trails were mental maps passed down through stories, songs, and observation. Some cave networks were mapped entirely in memory, enabling groups to return without error. They could cross continents or navigate underground networks without ever leaving a breadcrumb. It's like combining Google Earth, an encyclopedia, and a weather app all in one human brain. Number 8. They preserved heat and light in ingenious ways. When the sun set, it got dark. No street lights, no electricity. Yet ancient humans survived long nights. They used oil lamps, animal fats, and stone enclosures to control heat. Stone or mud walls stored warmth from the day, releasing it slowly at night. They arranged fires and reflective surfaces to maximize light in shelters. In some cases, they designed homes with skylights or smoke chimneys that doubled as ventilation and heat regulators. Modern humans complain about a blackout lasting a few hours. They thrived in weeks of darkness, cooking, working, and staying safe in ways that seem almost magical today. Their shelters and planning turned night into a usable, safe, and productive environment. Number 9. They used observation to outsmart nature's traps. Nature throws curveballs. Constantly floods, landslides, predators, and diseases. Ancient humans observed subtle signs to survive. The way birds took off indicated danger. The way insects moved hinted at water. And cloud patterns predicted storms. They read every detail, building a mental model of their environment. Their survival wasn't luck. It was a science of observation, trial, and experience. They noticed patterns we often overlook. They understood cause and effect in ways that allowed them to make life or death decisions in seconds. Today, we get anxious when the weather app says 40% chance of rain. Back then, humans knew exactly when to move, hunt, or seek shelter without checking a single device. So next time you think of ancient humans as cavemen, think again. They built shelters that survived storms, manipulated their environment for defense, predicted animal and weather behavior, and survived extremes we can barely imagine. They made fire, water, and food work for them in ways that would confuse us today. They turned survival into an art form. They used brains, observation, and sheer ingenuity, and they did all this without electricity apps or even a Swiss Army knife. If the lights went out today, most of us would panic and Google how to make fire. Ancient humans. They'd already be halfway through building a house, cooking dinner, and planning the next day's hunt. That's real intelligence, and it's something we could learn a lot from.